guys, Nicole Pierce. I am back for another Career Conversations with Nicole. I am super excited. I have two of my good friends and colleagues on the call. I have Shannon Shumate and Stephanie Miller. Hi, guys.
Hello.
I'm so glad you're joining me. Before we get started today with our topic, will you just tell the students a little bit about who you are and what you teach and what you do at KSU?
Sure. I am Shannon Shumate. I teach all levels, financial and managerial. So if you're a student, you probably have the opportunity to take one of my classes. I'm also the faculty advisor for Beta Alpha Psi with Nicole.
Yeah, I love that.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Miller. I teach accounting, information systems, accounting data analytics, and also intro financial accounting. So I usually get a chance to see most everybody at least once in the program.
Yeah, well, and the part that y'all did not share is that most students love taking your classes. Y'all have great student feedback. So students, if you haven't taken them, go sign up for their class for spring. But we are in the process of trying to do a topic about hybrid courses. So the topic for today is going to be how to get the most out of an online or hybrid course, as we all know that most of us are in that environment now. So we'll just dig right in. The first question is, how many classes are online or hybrid right now versus to what it was previously before the pandemic? We don't have to get specific with numbers, but in your opinion, what do you think classes are like these days?
Well, I think they're all some sort of online. I have students coming face-to-face, but very few. Most are online.
Same. I have two asynchronous online courses. I have one synchronous online and one face-to-face that is a hybrid where the students come either Tuesday or Thursday. But many of them take the option to only attend online. So right now, lots of online remote learning happening.
Yeah, I know. When I'm in the building, I feel like there is absolutely nobody there. It's crazy. I also know of only one, maybe two faculty members that actually have an in-person class and have been set up that way the whole time. So yeah, it's very strange. The next question is, do you think most students are adjusting to this change for online and hybrid? Are they doing it well or not so great?
I think most students are probably in the adjustment phase, trying to figure out how to make it work, because in the beginning of this semester for my face-to-face students, I did have some pretty regular attendance, but it's shrinking every week. And as is the attendance, the live synchronous remote attendance is also shrinking. So I think people are still trying to figure out how to make it work and how to be successful for them. But I can definitely see a connection between success and live attendance, whether it's face-to-face or remote live attendance. I think that is key to making this work.
I agree. I've had several students tell me that their work schedule changed, and so they work during my class now because they can just watch the recording. But I think when students just have the recording, then they're not live and they don't have the opportunity to ask real-time questions, and so those questions just aren't even being asked.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're right about this like adjustment period, because I feel like most of our accounting courses were face-to-face prior to all of this. And students actually told me at the beginning too that they miss being in class and getting to have that interaction and feel like they're learning. So I'm sure you're right. They're all in this adjustment period. Well, what are the items or areas where you see that the students are struggling the most? The reason why I ask this is because I think it's good to identify the problem so that we can then try to identify the solution, right? And hopefully students can hear this and decide, okay, this is something I could work on.
Well, I've seen, the students that are at home, even if they are watching live, they're not asking the questions. And so when you're face to face, you have that conversation with your students and you know where they're struggling and they give you that feedback. I don't think that the students really have mastered being online and being present. That makes sense.
Try and treat it like you are in the classroom and that you're willing to participate, engage, and ask questions so that you can get more out of it. That's where I think most of them are struggling. They're just watching. They're watching passively instead of being active and engaged in the class.
Yeah, I find it so strange. So my whole master's program was online. And to be honest with you, I prefer face-to-face too. But I think there is a reset of learning that has to take place in order to actively engage the online platform and get the most out of it. So with that said, what are some tips and tricks that you think could help students adjust to this? Other than just blanketly saying, like, be more active in the course, what are some, like, actual tangible items that they could possibly do?
This may sound silly, but
I like silly.
Like, take a shower, put on real clothes, and turn on your video so that you feel like you're in a classroom. Like, I just teach to a bunch of blank squares, and I think if the student could see my face and I could see the student's face, it would really go a long way to help with their learning.
Oh, yeah. And then they wouldn't feel so isolated because they could also see the other students in the class. I think that's great advice. And to be honest with you, one of our employers gave that same advice for working from home. When we've talked about how to be the best in your virtual internship or work. So, yeah, great advice.
Also, and this doesn't require a lot of advanced planning, maybe just a few minutes before class starts, come up with what question you might ask or a comment that you might make. Write it down if you feel uncomfortable speaking out loud in an online environment. Prepare your question, and then if throughout the class your question needs to be modified, jot down a modification and then prompt yourself to ask it.
Yeah, and I think this is the career side of me, right, that's coming out, is that I think that is great practice for all the virtual networking that they're going to have to do. Like, the classroom environment is a great place to start to exercise those skills, leaving your camera on and asking the questions and kind of being prepared. It all just like flows into what they're going to do later down the road too. Really easy online to just get the noteworthy grade, right? Like, do the work enough to get the grade. But is there any tips on truly learning the material in a different environment? Meaning, is there a study technique or something that is different that you guys could recommend for them?
Usually what I say if a student wants to make sure that they've got a deeper level of understanding is to explain the topic to somebody else, even if nobody is present. If they go through the exercise of trying to explain the topic, to teach it to somebody else, that's where they find any gaps in knowledge.
Other thing that I would add, especially for our lower level classes, is we have really a robust graduate teaching assistant program that is offering all of these study sessions. And so it gives the students a chance to look at the material from someone other than their professor's point of view, right? Because if you ask me how to do something, I'm probably going to explain it similar every time. But if you're not understanding the way that I explain it, go into those GTA sessions and hearing someone else's point of view, especially someone who has just gone through their undergraduate program, is really helpful. So I encourage students to attend those.
As far as tips go about being successful, I can't believe I didn't say this before. For sure, on a regular basis, every day, maybe twice a day, check your emails. Yeah. If the teachers have to communicate remotely, then it's super important to check the remote means of communication on a regular basis.
Yeah, I think that students used to pass that off because they knew that they would see you in class and then they would get the information. So they were like kind of ignoring the email or not reading it all the way through. So yes, students, please do that. And I also have teased this that I'm going to give a gift card or something special away. If you read my newsletter all the way to the end, you might see a little snippet there. So yes, definitely read everything in its entirety in this virtual environment. What are some other suggestions for the students that are living through this hybrid model versus all online? Or all online versus hybrid? Like, is there anything that you would suggest that the students do differently based off of the structure of the course?
Maybe take advantage of coming face to face, right? If you're assigned one day, and maybe this fall semester you've got used to staying home because it's live stream, maybe take advantage next semester of actually going on your assigned day, just so you can sort of start to get back in the habit of coming to campus. I think that might be helpful.
Yeah, definitely. We'd love to see your little faces.
Yes, for sure.
And reach out to your classmates and engage with each other anyway, even though you're not physically present. Hold virtual Zoom sessions where you talk about the class material, work through problems or assignments. Still do that peer-to-peer, classmate interaction, even though you're not physically in the room together.
I think my last question for today is, what are a top few things that students should not do in this classroom environment? And students always love examples. So if you have funny stories, we can always share those because people can relate.
I've had numerous students take their exams that are being recorded and proctored without a shirt on. Wear clothes.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That goes back to your first tip of advice, which was get dressed.
Like you're actually in class.
Oh, I love it.
No loud music with inappropriate lyrics going in the background.
Yeah.
So here's another one, is don't skip class thinking, oh, I'll catch it later on the recorded session, because I think more often than not, people aren't going back and watching the recorded session. So don't treat the recorded session like a substitute for live class. It should really only be what you do if you had an excuse that would have, given you the ability to make something up in a face-to-face environment.
Well, that is it for today. I always ask for my guests to give some last-minute advice, last-minute thoughts for the students. So if you could just share any of last-minute tips, that'd be great.
Just hang in there. We are all going through this together. Nobody has, a Pandemic for Dummies book. So just be in contact with your professor if you have issues, and try to keep a smile on your face.
I need that book, Pandemic for Dummies. Yeah, somebody send it my way.
Yeah, I was going to say that same phrase, hang in there. But stay in active communication with your instructors. If you're having challenges, talk to them.
Do you think most instructors are being responsive in a timely manner to students?
I hope. I can't really speak to the other instructors, but if students communicate in the format the instructor says is their preferred format, I suspect that they'll be pretty timely.
So that's the key, students. If you feel like you're not getting the response that you're wanting, then go back to the syllabus and figure out exactly how the instructor expressed the communication to go. So that's a huge tip for sure.
For example, I ask students as my primary form of communication to use my KSU mail, and in every message, tell me what section you're in.
Oh, yeah.
And I very often get messages where I don't know what class they're in, or it comes in via D2L, which I don't see as quickly, and that makes my timeliness and response slower.
Yeah, and then it puts the students in a frustrated spot because they're like, I'm actually reaching out to you, you're not responding, so maybe I shouldn't reach out next time, when in reality, they just didn't follow the preferred method. Well, thank you guys for today. I appreciate you doing this. And until I see you guys around campus, I will say bye.
Bye.
Bye, you guys.